The Matthew Books. Matthew, Tell Me About Heaven, a first-hand description of the afterlife by Suzanne Ward, published by Matthew Books. Part 2, Nirvana. Location. Suzanne, where is Nirvana in relation to Earth? Matthew, we're usually not much farther from Earth than your moon is, but this is not a static realm, so our relative positions vary. None of the other discarnate placements that serve the same purpose as Nirvana are static realms either. We don't rotate as the planets do, and we aren't bound by the gravity that keeps your planetary system in orderly orbit. Suzanne, I'm glad you're that close by. Is Nirvana a sphere, or is it more like a planetary ring around Earth? Matthew, I've never thought of this realm as a sphere, but it is more like that form than a ring. It has flexible boundaries like an amoeba squirming before it divides. This realm is not a single place, but a placement, which means it can encompass various related yet specific areas for experiencing. We have many layers of energy, and not all are connected. Our masters and council members, who are the realm's highest souls in spiritual evolvement, live in the highest or lightest density level. The other extreme is the lowest or densest area, where the lost souls are. I know you have wondered how much is true of a book you read many years ago, which disturbed you because it described a form of hell that can be seen and visited on this plane where I am. Well, Mother, I know this because those concerns were so long a part of your thoughts about me, where I am and what it's like wherever that may be, and you didn't want to picture me even near such a place as you read about. A hellish place such as that does exist as a part of Nirvana, but it isn't near this layer of the realm where I'm living. It is permanently removed from all the other layers and never impinges upon our experiences. It couldn't possibly be near here because the conflict between the opposite energy densities would not enable its survival. The light here would lighten the darkness of the heaviest density layer, and the souls there have refused the light. Those unrepentant individuals are consigned to the darkness by their self-judgment review process. They feel no guilt or remorse for pain they have knowingly, willingly, and intentionally caused others. On Earth, all evildoers likely would be thought of as people who do unconscionable things, but in some cases, they lived according to pre-birth agreements for specific lessons to balance their energy fields. Others' actions that caused great pain and damage may have been dictated by mind control measures, and some do indeed make free will choices to deliberately hurt others. Willful intent is the energy registration that separates the last group from the others, and that is what consigns the people in that group to the lowest density layer of the realm. Suzanne, since their energy is so different from the rest of you, why do they live anywhere at all in Nirvana? Matthew, where else would you have them be, Mother? These are souls of Earth humans who have made transition, not inhabitants of some other planetary system. In some cases, they recently were walking and working among you. They can't be sent simply out there somewhere. If that were the case, they could do far greater damage than they can in a place of such density that escape is impossible by their own perpetration. Furthermore, loving light energy is continually beamed to them by high beings. And if they respond to the light, they can evolve into less dense layers of the realm. I need to clarify something at this point. Energy, which is the life force of everything in creation, is neutral. It is the intent or the directed use of energy by souls that is the basis for our ascribing to it qualifications such as light, dark, base, positive, negative, and so forth. Those qualities or conditions and all personal characteristics we classify as one's energy or energy field actually are energy attachments, but for simplicity we drop attachment in ordinary references to the effects of energy usage. Suzanne: I see. Matthew, please give me a minute to scroll back. Sometimes your information is so startling that not only can't I grasp what you're saying, I even forget my questions as I keep listening to you. Matthew: I know you cannot carry two parallel thought patterns and do justice to either. That is the nature of these communications. There has to be your separation from the manual operation of recording to later permit the mental operation to come into play. By all means, Mother, look back at my message. As I have told you, you may do whatever you wish during our sittings, always. So may I, dear one, but never would I choose to do anything to disappoint you. The Matthew aspect of me would never permit that. Suzanne: Does your Matthew aspect fluctuate in prominence or strength, or do all the lifetimes always have equal influence? Matthew: It is not a matter of ascribing partitions to the cumulative experiencing with one compartment of the soul set apart from another. At this level there is a combining of all knowledge and all sensory experiencing of the cumulative lifetimes, and the intermingling is unavoidable. We would not want to avoid it, as most of the experiencing would be wasted, and the chosen lessons would be needlessly repeated and repeated. The thoughts and memories and sensory bonds that you correctly call a love bond are most prominent in the lifetime most recently experienced. So it is natural that when something you are thinking or feeling is at an intensity to reach me, my Matthew aspect rises in response. You have triggered this aspect. Still, even when the Matthew personage is most intensely connected with you, he encompasses experiencing of all lifetimes of this cumulative soul. As you are aware, you are not evoking the prominence of only the Matthew personage in this part of the discussion. Now then, I believe you wanted to recapture your questions by reading a previous passage. Suzanne: Yes, thank you. You said nirvana has no regular orbiting. So what does hold you in space? Matthew: There are what you might call disturbances that can be likened to cosmic dust storms which set in motion energy from available sources. These energies, which could be likened to an earth cyclone or typhoon wind, have an orderly path that is in cooperation with, rather than in opposition to, themselves. This promotes movement that is quite dependable, not in its path, but rather its velocity. We are more in suspension than in orbit. The energies do not remain static in their path or even in this placement, but can move about the universe as if independent of other motions that normally would affect matter of greater mass than ours. I believe my example of an amoeba preparing to divide most aptly describes the movement path and flexibility of this realm. So if you can put such an image in the midst of your orbiting solar system, I believe you can envision the comparative movements of this realm and Earth. Suzanne: Okay, but now I'm going to see a giant amoeba in the sky when I think of you. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, how big is nirvana? Matthew: Now that's a lovely maternal image, Mother. Well, I suppose we could be compared to Venus in size, although any comparison to a sphere is not at all sensible because they don't have the flexibility and limitless expansion capacity we do. Our protective shielding has that expandable capacity. The universe has it. The entirety of creation has it. But individual spheres don't. Suzanne: What is that protective shielding you mentioned? Why do you have it? Matthew. The shielding is a flexible blanket of light that permeates us, akin to your atmosphere in that it not only surrounds bodies, it is within them. We don't have the capability to fabricate this shield ourselves because it is made of substance and is more than our powers of manifestation can create. The shielding is the Christed light, radiant from Creator, transmitted to and through God, and directed to our realm and the other realms that serve the same purpose as nirvana. The protection of the shield is necessary because we are close enough to Earth as to be otherwise severely affected by all the pollution and the interference from baser energies in the universe. Not those earthbound energies, of course, but all others who wish to prey upon the sanctity of this realm. The shield is powerful, almost impenetrable by entities less than our fourth density frequencies. I say almost because accidents have happened wherein the dark forces of higher dimensional advancement in technology, but not in spirituality, have pierced it, and the baser energies have momentarily entered. But that is a rare occurrence and is discovered quickly, and no injuries can be caused to any residents or transients. That includes people from Earth who are visiting in dream state and those who experience the near-death supra-consciousness. When there is a rent in the shield, there is a vibration of such force that council members know immediately, and the warriors of the universe in the divine light of Christ's service are on hand instantly before more damage can be done to the shield or any significant numbers of base entities can enter. It is puzzling to us why this combined force bothers, as those entities cannot live in this higher density, and their energy is transmuted into our atmosphere. Their identities are lost, having served no lasting purpose. But they are merely tools in the dark forces, and life forms to them are expendable. Suzanne, are base energies, base entities, and dark forces synonymous terms for the same beings? Matthew, yes, those terms and other similar ones are descriptive references that can be used interchangeably to designate the universally powerful force with the negative nature you commonly call evil. Dark or darkness indicates entities that are operating far from the light. Their aim is to obliterate all light in creation. Base energies or entities is descriptive of the level of density into which these beings have fallen away from God and Creator. Never are they separate from God and Creator in actuality, but in their limited light, they are unaware of that reality. The denser or baser the energy, the more negatively bound are the souls operating at that level. The basest placement of all, that bottom level of this multi-layered universe, is the most distant from the angelic realms, which are at the highest or lightest level closest to Creator. Suzanne, Matthew, I'm glad to know it's safe where you are. Who protects you before the shield is repaired, and who repairs it? Matthew, usually members of Hatonn's intergalactic force do both. A segment of his fleet, which generally is based in the Pleiades system, is in space as guardians of the shielding here and in the other realms like ours. They also maintain the shield in its natural state of total protectiveness. The crew is not exactly in charge of protection for this realm, but they have become the main watchers of disturbances in the past several years while they've been so prevalent in this area. Thousands of these small spacecraft are on patrol around here at any one time. They rotate on this guard assignment much the way police patrols do on Earth. Prior to their taking on this responsibility, a large spacecraft from Sirius usually was nearby or made frequent stops to monitor our shield. Suzanne, have you ever met any members of the repair crew? Matthew, I've met some of them and have thoroughly enjoyed the exchange of ideas and information. One of my favorites comes here occasionally just to visit me, not to do any work. He admires the pace and variety of my life and says his visits here are like holidays because it gets so boring just flying around the universe all the time. Suzanne, I suppose every job gets dull after a while. How do they repair the shield? Matthew, the repair process is essentially holding the energy stable or anchoring it at the gap of the shield, then pulling energy from another source and harnessing at the velocity and frequency required to unite the two energy paths. Energy has its own glue, but it has to be manipulated into proper position and superheated, which is why velocity is accelerated to achieve the fusion required. Suzanne, do the repair crews come in physical bodies? Matthew, usually they come in their fourth density human bodies, but they don't have to. They can manifest handsome bodies once they're here because our light atmosphere permits that without entrapping them. Third density bodies, which yours are, can't enter this realm, and that's why only your souls come on visits. Suzanne, please tell me more about those forces that can penetrate the shield. Matthew, they're the dark forces that want to disrupt the tranquility, learning, and healing, and especially the spiritual evolution that go on here. We're constantly fighting those foes, not in battle as you think of it, with fighting forces and weapons, but with light. Often, these energies are an unidentifiable entity. A force field probably is a better designation, and it is powerful. Mother, there are activities of such massive destruction on the inner planes that they are beyond your comprehension. Sometimes it is beyond my own, not as to what is happening, but why. The entire universe is being affected by this era of upheaval. The corruption and deceit and warmongering on Earth are not the cause of catastrophic world events there, but symptoms of the wider spread and more drastic events happening on a universal scale. In many ways, we are protected from the harshness that is affecting so many other souls. However, we aren't just a little patch of protected beings, nor are the other sanctuary realms. There is a reason for our stability in the face of furor around us. Just as there is a place for the one wise, calm being to remain in balance even while surrounded by turmoil, Nirvana and the other realms of greater purity and clarity are grounding points for the universe, stabilizing elements essential for holding the revolution of solar systems on a stable course. The force field of spirituality prevailing in these areas of higher density is in a constant rate of stability. The dependable harmony, peacefulness, and stability of our higher density can be relied upon without exception to be a fulcrum for the balancing of external elements. This is true regardless of the influx of souls, because there is immediate assignment in accordance with the transitional energy that reflects each soul's Earth lifetime activities. You could say that this stability is the heaven of Nirvana, because the part that could be considered the hell doesn't have it.